So I'm Brian, again with the same table project. We're now epoxying the veneers to the table. What I want to talk to you about in this video and explain is how to keep everything aligned well during the vacuum process. So we've got a little bit of epoxy squeezed into these joints by rubbing them together and pushing the joint or pushing the glue that's already on the table into the joint. It only takes a tiny amount. The cores themselves are aligned to each other by using these mortises. There are 10 at each end, but we're only using 2, 1 on each side, to keep these aligned as I push them through. They're also set to stop the motion of these parts towards each other so that when we push them and they bump, we know that they're exactly spaced right. That tells me exactly how far hung over I want the veneer to be. So what I'm going to do with this one is get it aligned to the main table first by butting it up against there and watching the veneer seams. Press this maple down, and then I'll pull the tape off of this joint, which was really just to keep everything together and protect the walnut and maple joint. And now I'm going to open this up just a touch and push. This is where I need my magnifiers. Push that to get a little bit of epoxy rolled up into that joint. Now, generally the bag vacuum is adequate to pull epoxy through here, but it's so easy to do this. I just don't want to take a chance that something I can't see isn't happening. This I can see. So now I'm going to take this down, make sure our peripheral alignment is all good, and then we'll slide it into the bag. Now I've got excess on the core here to trim all that even when I get done, so it doesn't have to be exactly aligned down there. It's more important to have the veneers and main body of the cores level or even to each other than it is to avoid having this, because I can come back and trim this. There's plenty of material out here to work with so that I can focus now on getting the veneers right and worry about trimming the periphery after it comes out. So we took the table out of the bag yesterday, and last night we went ahead and assembled the miters with the 10 L-shaped tenons, floating tenons in there. I had already hand planed and sanded the end caps. The hand plane surface didn't need sanding to be smooth enough. It's just that we're using a polyurethane finish on this. It'll be Minwax wipe-on poly, and it needs a little bit of tooth. It doesn't adhere really well to the slick surface of a hand plane. But you can see here that the miter joint came together beautifully on this corner. And so I'm just gonna be hand planing to bring that to the chamfer that I like the look of. And I don't wanna set a router to cut that, because if it tears out at all, then I have a bigger chamfer and there's a risk of sanding or planing through the veneer. But these joints came out beautifully. Can't ask for any better than that. I can't see any issue even with my magnifiers on. And the center joint is pretty flawless as well. So I'm a pretty happy camper with this guy. The miter joint came out really beautifully. Now this is still in the rough. The plan was to wait until after assembly to level the miters around this joint, and that'll be finished off with a chisel. And that's a little bit of glue spill out there, but the glue bond itself, the glue line, came together very nicely on that. Still needs some cleanup. And then down here, I haven't finished planing this, but you can see the residue of the epoxy squeeze out but there's no epoxy, there's no gap here whatsoever. That's a perfect seam. Really happy with all of that, how it all came out. Now, it's a little bit nuts to take on a table like this with a hand plane. We've got curly maple, which is challenging enough. And then we've got a really shimmering quarter sawn walnut. It's shimmering because the grain is going up, twisting back down and back up. And these two woods are not, there's no way to plane in any direction without going against the grain. But you have that with curly maple anyway. But I wanted to take my hand planing up a notch or two, and I'm experimenting with some new sharpening techniques and new edge geometry that this is a perfect opportunity to give that a trial run on. So it's gonna be an athletic day for this guy. Well, there's a whole lot more of this to do, but you don't need to watch the whole thing. We've been sweating over this table and planning and designing and problem solving for over a month now, and we've just gotten to the point where we can really enjoy what a beautiful piece it is, and the wood that we got from Horizon Lumber is just delicious. It's just a nice time to just walk around it and enjoy the beauty of this material. It's, all the work we put into it, and it's really just laying on that oil or that polyurethane finish that really brings it to life. It's all of the details coming together. It's just a very satisfying moment, and we get to have it for all of a day at this stage after sweating over it for a month. But I'm going to take a minute to enjoy this day. This is sweet. It's going to a nice home in the Ramble here in Asheville. And I think these folks are going to be some kind of happy with this fella. Stay tuned though. This isn't our last piece. We got another one on the bench starting, and it's going to be a beauty as well. So stick around. There's more to come.